When you choose to step back and create emotional space, you are engaging in a profound and intentional act of self-respect and empowerment. Absence, when used wisely, is not about manipulation or playing games. Instead, it's about allowing others to recognize and value your presence by experiencing its lack. When you go silent, you disrupt the familiar patterns of interaction, leaving space for reflection and self-awareness in the other person. This absence can be a powerful teacher, showing someone just how significant your presence is in their life, whether they realize it or not. Silence has an inherent power that can often speak louder than words. In relationships, we tend to underestimate the impact of simply stepping away and letting the absence speak for itself. When you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying your actions, or stop making your availability a constant, you force the other person to look inward. This is because our constant presence often shields others from truly understanding the depth of what we contribute. When you take that shield away, they are left to confront the void. This absence becomes a mirror reflecting their own behaviors, thoughts, and feelings which they might have ignored or taken lightly when you were around. Emotional space is essential for clarity, not only for the other person, but also for you. When you remove yourself from a situation, it grants you the opportunity to assess your own feelings and priorities. Often when we're caught up in emotional turbulence, our perspective becomes clouded. Taking a step back allows you to regain your balance and focus. It helps you see the bigger picture, which is something we often miss when we're in constant contact. For the other person, your silence can bring about a similar clarity. It gives them the time and mental space to think about their feelings, actions, and the relationship dynamics that might have been taken for granted. The disruption caused by your absence also creates an emotional imbalance in the person who is used to having you around. Humans are creatures of habit, and when a pattern is interrupted, it forces them to pay attention. Your absence becomes the catalyst for them to appreciate what your presence brought into their life. It's a natural human reaction to want to restore equilibrium, and this often manifests as a desire to bridge the gap created by your silence. When they feel the emptiness left behind, it can be a powerful motivator for them to chase after you to regain what they've lost. At its core, absence is a demonstration of self-worth. It sends a clear, unspoken message that you value yourself enough to walk away when you feel unappreciated or taken for granted. This act of self-respect is incredibly magnetic because it demonstrates emotional independence. It shows that you are not desperate for attention or validation and that your sense of worth doesn't hinge on someone else's approval. This quiet confidence often calls others to take notice and reevaluate their own behavior. Furthermore, creating emotional space allows the other person to confront their own feelings in a way that they might not have done otherwise. When you're always present, there's little room for introspection. But when you step back, you give them the opportunity to miss you. Missing someone isn't just about the absence of their physical presence. It's about realizing the emotional gap they filled in your life. It's about recalling their contributions, kindness, and the unique energy they brought. Silence gives them the time to reflect on all these aspects, often sparking a deeper appreciation. This newfound appreciation isn't just about nostalgia, it's about understanding value. People often don't realize the depth of someone's importance until they are no longer readily available. Your silence can force them to ask themselves tough questions. Why do I miss this person? What did they bring into my life that I didn't acknowledge? How can I make things right? These questions are the first steps toward meaningful change, whether it's an apology, a renewed effort, or a deeper commitment. Absence also disrupts the dynamics of dependence. If someone has been relying on you for emotional support, comfort, or even validation, your silence compels them to find those resources within themselves or elsewhere. This can be a wake-up call for them to address their own insecurities or flaws. It's not about punishing them, but about giving them the chance to grow and evolve in your absence. For you, this space is equally transformative. It reminds you of your strength and resilience. It shows you that you are capable of standing alone and that your worth is not tied to anyone else's acknowledgement. This realization is empowering and often leads to a healthier approach to relationships in the future. When you eventually decide to reconnect, you do so from a place of confidence and clarity, not desperation or neediness. In the end, the power of absence lies in its ability to spark awareness both for you and the other person. It's a quiet yet profound way of resetting the balance in a relationship. By stepping back, you allow them to step forward. And in that moment of reflection, they often realize the depth of what they almost lost, leading to renewed appreciation, effort, and a stronger bond if the relationship was truly meant to be. If not, your silence will have still served its purpose, showing you the truth and freeing you to focus on connections that truly honor your value. When you go silent, it often prompts a wave of self-reflection in the other person. This silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the creation of a space that encourages introspection. For the person on the receiving end, this shift can feel unsettling. The absence of your usual responses, messages, or presence interrupts their patterns and leaves them with only their thoughts for company. This is a powerful catalyst for self-awareness, forcing them to evaluate their actions, priorities, and the role you played in their life. Self-reflection is not something everyone engages in naturally. Often people need a reason to pause and look inward. Your silence becomes that reason, a mirror reflecting their behavior and its consequences. When you step away, they are left with the impact of their actions or inactions. Were they dismissive of your feelings? Did they take you for granted? Did they fail to acknowledge the ways you contributed to their happiness or well-being? These questions might not have occurred to them before, but your absence creates the perfect environment for such realizations. The process of self-reflection can be uncomfortable. It's human nature to avoid confronting our flaws or the ways we might have hurt others. But when someone significant goes silent, it can create a sense of urgency to understand why. This often leads to an internal dialogue where they revisit past interactions, reconsider their words, and re-examine their priorities. They may begin to see things from your perspective, realizing the effort, patience, and care you extended that they might have overlooked. It's in this space of self-awareness that true growth can begin. At the same time, your silence sends a powerful message about your own boundaries and self-respect. It shows that you're not willing to engage in dynamics that leave you feeling undervalued or unheard. This can be a wake-up call for the other person, highlighting the importance of treating you with the respect and consideration you deserve. It also challenges them to think about how they've shown up or failed to show up in the relationship. The absence of your engagement forces them to ask themselves, why did this happen? What role did I play in this situation? How can I make it right? Silence has a way of amplifying the truths we often try to avoid. When you remove yourself from the equation, the other person is left to confront the reality of their own choices. This self-reflection can lead to a deeper understanding of their own emotions, motivations, and behaviors. For instance, they might realize they were projecting their own insecurities onto you or failing to communicate effectively. They may also come to terms with the ways they've prioritized their own needs over yours, leading to a more honest assessment of the relationship. It's not uncommon for people to feel a sense of loss or emptiness during this period of silence. This feeling is a natural part of the self-reflection process as it forces them to acknowledge the void left by your absence. They begin to recognize the emotional and relational contributions you brought into their life, your kindness, your support, your unique energy. This realization can be transformative as it helps them understand the depth of what they might have taken for granted. For some, this self-reflection leads to genuine growth and a renewed commitment to change. They may come to understand the importance of empathy, communication, and mutual respect in a way they hadn't before. This growth isn't always immediate, but the seeds are often planted during this period of silence. Over time, these realizations can lead to meaningful change in how they approach relationships, not just with you, but in other areas of their life as well. For you, this silence serves as a powerful tool for self-reflection as well. While they are grappling with their thoughts and feelings, you have the opportunity to evaluate your own emotions and needs. What do you truly want from this relationship? Are your boundaries being respected? Are you being valued for who you are? Or are you constantly compromising your own well-being to maintain the connection? These are important questions that silence allows you to explore. This period of self-reflection is not about blaming or shaming the other person. It's about creating the space for both of you to gain clarity and perspective. It's about giving them the chance to recognize their own patterns and take responsibility for their actions, while also empowering you to prioritize your own emotional health. Silence, when used intentionally, can be a profound act of self-care. In the end, the self-reflection triggered by your silence has the potential to bring about positive change, whether it leads to reconciliation, personal growth, or the realization that it's time to move on. It's a valuable process that benefits both parties. It fosters a deeper understanding of what truly matters and encourages a more authentic and meaningful approach to relationships. Whatever the outcome, this period of introspection is an important step toward healing, growth, and greater emotional clarity for everyone involved. Silence has a unique power that often leads to a shift in priorities for the other person. When you withdraw and create a space of quiet, it compels them to reevaluate what truly matters in their life. This reevaluation is not immediate, nor is it always conscious, but it happens nonetheless. The absence of your presence in their daily routine forces them to confront what they've lost in the role you played in their life. It's a natural response to the void left behind when someone important steps back. In the noise of daily life, it's easy to overlook the significance of certain people or the value they bring. Routine interactions, whether through conversations, shared experiences, or simply knowing that someone is there, often go unnoticed until they're gone. When you go silent, it's like removing a familiar melody from a song. They begin to notice its absence and miss its comforting rhythm. This creates a gap in their life that they can't ignore. Suddenly, they realize that what they took for granted was, in fact, an integral part of their happiness or stability. This period of silence often brings about a deep sense of introspection. They start to question why things have changed. What was once a given your support, your energy, your care is no longer readily available. This shift can cause them to reassess their own behavior and the way they've approached the relationship. Have they been prioritizing other things over you? Have they been too focused on their own needs, ignoring the ways they might have been neglecting or hurting you? These questions naturally arise when silence replaces what used to be a steady presence. In many cases, people don't realize the extent of their emotional reliance on someone until that person steps back. They might have assumed that you would always be there no matter the circumstances. Your decision to go silent challenges this assumption and forces them to recognize the fragility of relationships when taken for granted. It pushes them to reconsider their own priorities and the ways they allocate their time and attention. Perhaps they've been overly focused on work, hobbies, or other relationships, unintentionally neglecting the connection they share with you. This reevaluation of priorities often leads to a profound realization of what's truly important. They might begin to see that the things they've been chasing, whether it's success, social validation, or superficial pleasures, don't hold as much meaning without someone like you by their side. The silence allows them to differentiate between what's temporary and what's lasting, between what's surface level and what holds real depth. It's a moment of clarity that can shift their entire perspective. On a deeper level, this shift in priorities isn't just about you, it's about their own growth and understanding of themselves. They might start to realize that their choices and actions have consequences, not just for others, but for their own emotional well-being. Losing someone's presence, even temporarily, can serve as a wake-up call to make changes and prioritize what truly matters. It's an invitation to grow, to step out of their comfort zone, and to become more intentional about how they navigate relationships. This change in priorities can manifest in various ways. They may start to reach out, not out of habit, but with genuine intent and effort. They might attempt to rekindle the connection by demonstrating that they've understood the value of presence. Actions often speak louder than words in these situations. They may make more time for meaningful conversations, show greater appreciation for what you bring to their life, or take active steps to address the issues that led to the silence in the first place. At the same time, this shift in priorities is not solely about their response. It's also an opportunity for you to evaluate what you want and need from the relationship. The silence gives you the space to consider your own priorities and whether the connection aligns with your values and emotional health. It's a mutual process of growth and reevaluation where both parties have the chance to redefine what truly matters to them. Sometimes, the outcome of this period of silence and reevaluation is a stronger, more balanced relationship. Other times it leads to the realization that it's best to part ways. Either way, the clarity gained through this process is invaluable. It helps both individuals understand themselves better and approach future relationships with greater awareness and authenticity. Ultimately, the shift in priorities that occurs during this period of silence is a testament to the power of creating space for introspection and growth. It's a reminder that relationships thrive when both individuals are intentional about their actions, appreciative of each other's presence, and committed to prioritizing what truly matters. Whether the connection is repaired or released, the lessons learned during this time are lasting and transformative. When you go silent, it creates a void that the other person can't easily ignore. They're left to wonder, to question, and to analyze the space you've left behind. In this absence, they begin to realize how much they may have taken you for granted. This realization is often not immediate, but rather something that unfolds slowly. The initial reaction might be confusion or even indifference, but as time passes and the silence continues, they begin to understand the weight of your presence in their life. During this period, the lack of communication acts as a mirror. It reflects their actions and the consequences of them. They may start to notice the little things that once seemed insignificant but now feel like major losses. The absence of your voice, your advice, your support, these things start to echo louder than any conversation ever could. It's as if they're hearing the absence in every moment that would have previously been filled with your interaction. In many cases, people don't realize how much they rely on someone until that person steps back. Your silence disrupts their comfort zone, and they begin to feel the discomfort of missing something they thought would always be there. They may have been caught up in their own life priorities or distractions, but now they're faced with the void you've left behind. It's a stark contrast, and it forces them to pay attention to what truly matters. They have to confront the reality that you were not just another person in their life, you were an integral part of it, and your absence has caused them to rethink the role they want you to play moving forward. For some, this period of silence serves as an emotional wake-up call. The questions start to arise: what did I do to cause this silence? Why didn't I appreciate this person more when they were present? It's a moment of self-reflection that might lead them to recognize their mistakes or shortcomings in the relationship. They may begin to feel the guilt of not treating you with the respect or attention you deserved. It's often in these moments of absence that people become acutely aware of their own emotional needs and how they've been neglecting them. This self-awareness isn't just about feeling bad or guilty, though. It's a catalyst for change. The silence can be the trigger that pushes someone to alter their approach, to make more time for you, and to be more mindful of the way they show up in the relationship. They might realize that they have taken your presence for granted and that they need to make amends by showing more appreciation and commitment. In some cases, the silence can lead them to reconsider their priorities entirely. When you go quiet, they're forced to evaluate the things that matter most to them. They might begin to question the way they've been dividing their time and energy. Is their relationship with you really a priority, or have they been putting everything else, work, friends, hobbies, above it? This can be a pivotal moment in which they realize the need to realign their focus and prioritize what truly matters. The absence of your presence provides a clear, tangible reminder of the value you bring to their life, and that reminder can inspire them to change their actions and shift their priorities. However, the impact of this silence goes beyond simply forcing them to rethink their priorities. It also forces them to evaluate the dynamics of the relationship. They may begin to ask themselves why they allowed things to get to this point. Why didn't they recognize the signs that you were feeling unappreciated or neglected? Why did they wait until you went silent to understand the depth of your feelings? These are uncomfortable questions, but they are necessary for growth, both for them and for the relationship. It's a way for them to face their own emotional shortcomings and take responsibility for their part in the situation. At the same time, the silence also gives you the opportunity to evaluate what you want and need. Just as they are reassessing the relationship, you are given the chance to do the same. This pause creates a space for both individuals to take a step back, gain perspective, and think about the future. What do you truly need from the relationship? Is it something that can be fixed with open communication and effort, or is it time to move on? The silence isn't just a chance for them to reflect, it's a chance for you to reflect as well. Ultimately, this period of silence serves as a test of the relationship. It's an opportunity for both parties to decide whether they are truly committed to making the relationship work. If the other person responds with action, showing that they've recognized the value of your presence and are willing to make changes, it can lead to a deeper connection. If, however, they remain indifferent or fail to make any effort to restore the bond, it may signal that the relationship is no longer serving both parties in a meaningful way. In the end, the silence forces both individuals to face the truth. It serves as a reminder that relationships require effort, attention, and mutual respect. Without these elements, even the strongest connections can falter. The silence, therefore, is not just about withdrawal, it's about creating space for growth, reflection, and ultimately a better understanding of what both people need in order to move forward, whether together or apart.